Hi guys, I've got a new game here that's actually been going on for a while now. So we're at turn 56, I think, in the game. So I figured I might start recording some of these turns and putting them online. It's a little different than my usual games because it's a disciples match, and it's a four-person teams in the late age. So I'm on a team. I'm late age Satis, and I'm on a team with Utgard, Calum, and Atlantis in the late age. And we're playing with all but a few nations. I really just think it might be Lemuria missing here. Lemuria and maybe one other that's missing. So it's effectively an all nations game. Um, so along with being teams of four, the other weird thing about this game is that there's no diplomacy. So we're not allowed to talk with anyone, which makes it play very non-standard from a traditional Dominions game. Like I'm on turn 56 and not a single player has been eliminated yet. Um, I don't know the best way to introduce pretenders, but I think just introducing them as we see them will make the most sense. You can see that I took dormant scales here. And I've also taken cold. Now, the cold is because Satis prefers heat 2, so cold 1 is trashing 3 temperature scales. Um, Calum, Utgard both prefer cold, so does Atlantis. I think Atlantis likes cold 1, Calum likes cold 1, and Utgard likes cold 2. So, or maybe even cold 3. So they're I'm basically freeing up points that way. Um, Then order 1, productivity 1. That's because let's look at some of the units here. So Cold Sad Lizards is us. We are going to be recruiting for expansion Falchineers. Resources and recruitment points are about equal. So it's good for us. Calum, their favorite things will be like Ironclads, which are high resources, lower recruitment points, and that's the theme for them. So they would actually have preferred probably more productivity to order. However, because they have Ironcrafters with a resource bonus, that's completely unnecessary. So they would actually do better with order than productivity. Sorry, in the long run they will, but not during expansion. Then we've got CDN Panther over here um, on Utgard, and like he'd be expanding with these boys. So they would really like um, from here, they'd really like productivity, but he's actually going to be recruiting Gamherdings from his cap as well. So he'll use Gamherdings to balance the recruitment points. Um, and in general, Ugart would like productivity, and he doesn't have a mage that produces resources like Calum does. But there is an option to recruit units that have balanced and um, resources and recruitment points. So there is options for him in the long term that he can maintain that balance. And then Atlantis, their units tend to be high resources. The Ice Guard with the Glaives is their primary unit. So they are definitely hurt by taking order and productivity being equal. But because it's basically Atlantis and Calum are the exact opposite, I went with kind of pressured the team to take a more balanced approach with resources and recruitment points. You can just be hopefully careful about where you place your forts with these guys and make sure you get lots of resources from your forts. Not necessarily your cap because Atlantis is starting with a coastal start here. Um, so in terms of approach, we're taking, sorry, I should introduce, this is CDN Panther, this is Oraculum, and this is SR playing Calum, and I am playing Late Age Satis. Late Age Satis is like kind of a garbage tier nation. we took them as like our it was a draft and a first come first serve, so we took them as like our fifth order pick for our preference for our First Nation, and we still ended up getting them. So it kind of luckily we ended up getting the rest of our picks, thank goodness. But this kind of hurt getting this. On the plus side, I do have some options here. Um, I've got these revived Tomb Kings for 23 death gems. We're in the late age, so there isn't a ton of death gems, but each of these guys is making a death gem a turn. So if all the players pooled death gems and sent them to me, I could actually make quite a force out of them. Um, yeah. So in terms of experience, I think SR is the most experienced of these guys. CDM Panther, I think, is pretty new, and Oraculum has been around a while, but is not quite as experienced as SR. Um, yeah, so we're hoping for a scales expansion. I don't really have a plan beyond the temperature scales. We're going to be putting up Ugard will be definitely putting up Illwinter to drop the scales even further, which is going to kill my income, but is basically something that we should be expecting to play in is Cold 3, which is because we have three powerful cold nations here. Um, in general, these nations are strong individually, and in a standard game, I would expect them to do all right, especially Utgard and Atlantis are good late age nations on their own terms. Now, with the Disciples game, that all flips around. So I I don't have any experience with Disciples games of this size, so I wasn't sure how it would work out. Um, our Bless is very minor. Reinvigoration, Magic Resistance, that's a monument for me. It's dormant rather than imprisoned, which is why the scales are the way they are. Um, we could have freed up another 200 scales by going imprisoned. That's 5 of these, so we could have maxed out both and done better in temperature, potentially, or probably more Dominion had we gone imprisoned. However, um, in a Disciples match, the Disciples gods, each of these guys gets to take a Disciple god, and those Disciples wake up in half the amount of time it takes your god to wake up. So they're expecting their gods to start waking up around turn 6. My god's going to wake up around turn 12. And that will hopefully help with expansion in early wars and at the very least be a deterrent for early invasion because there's going to be a lot of fighting in this game. Um, okay, I think that's good for a game orientation. I'm going to stop there before getting into the turns.